Eddie Olczyk, NBC Sports Network, was there with Doc Emmerich last night, former Blackhawk. And can you clear up then in the final minutes of the third period there, Eddie, that every goal was reviewed, but what can you review on that goal that was disallowed?
Well, hi, Dan. How are you?
Hey,
Thanks a lot for having me. Look, I think what needs to be talked about front and center is that as that play is developing with two officials on the ice, the puck is entering the defensive zone for the Detroit Red Wings. The lead official is following the puck. The trail official is following what's going on behind the play. And behind the play, as that play was developing, there was a wrestling match and a couple gloves to the side of the head by each player, Kyle Quincy and Brandon Saad. The particular players involved, and referee Stephen Walkham was in perfect position. He was the trail official, watching what was going on behind the play. He's keeping an eye on where the puck is, but he's watching. His job is to watch what's happening, and in his estimation, and his job is to watch what's going on, and he felt that there should be coincidental penalties called because of what was going on behind the play. And the intent of blowing the whistle, there's that delay that goes from the side where he carries his whistle to go and stop play. I mean, he was emphatic when he did that, and I think that's where the confusion was going on, because if you're at the United Center, Dan, everybody's following the puck, right? 22,000 people are following the puck. They're not watching what's going behind the play. And on the TV coverage on the NBC Sports Network, we're following the puck going into the net. So again, the interpretation from the back official is that he was on his way to call penalties, and that's what he did, and that's why it was no goal.
Was it a good call?
I said it was. That's what he saw, and he felt that there should be penalties called. We've seen, referees making calls at different times of games, and but on that particular play, he felt and that there was a wrestling match going on, and he was going to stop play because of that.
But it didn't impede the progress of the puck. It didn't interfere with that. So it's almost like ancillary, that it's off in a distance. What would stop somebody from doing that if they saw somebody on a breakaway, that I just grabbed somebody away from the puck and try to create something?
Well, I think that's fair. But again, he's not focusing in on where the puck. I mean, he knows where the puck is on the ice, but his job is to see what's going on being behind the play. I mean, look, you know football better than anybody. I mean, you got umpires and linesmen and referees that are on the field, and they're watching certain areas of the ice. And if they feel, even though it may not have anything to do with the play that's going on 15 yards to either side of the field, Dan, is that, they're going to go ahead and they're going to make the call. If they see it, they're supposed to make the call. So, look, there's an argument on either side, but again, from what I saw and knowing where he was on the ice and him focusing in on the area of the ice that he was supposed to, he felt that he should stop play and call penalties on both teams.
Yeah, I don't normally agree with Mike Milbury, but I did agree with him on this. But we always talk about when you make a call. LeBron James fouled out the last game, in the closing minutes. LeBron James getting fouled out on some, a simple call, a small call. Do you swallow your whistle depending on where we are in a game? A game 7? Is it different? Is it called differently? Should it be?
Well, I think human nature and, the human element of it, Dan, I think sometimes common sense needs to step to the forefront in a lot of these particular situations. We had a play in Game 6 where there was a penalty shot called in the game between the Hawks and the Red Wings, and the referee thought that the play that was made, the interpretation was that it took away a scoring chance in the Game 6 when Chicago had all the momentum. It was a 3-2 game, and decided to go ahead and make that call with 10 or 11 minutes left to go in Game 6. So, I think common sense is probably the best way when you talk to older officials of looking at particular plays and maybe using that part of it to make your decision. But, we want the referees to be consistent. We want them to make those calls in the first minute and the last minute. But that's, again, the positioning that he had. He felt that it was his job to stop play and make the call and play 4-on-4 for a while into overtime, and then eventually Brent Seabrook scores it in overtime and wins it for the Hawks.
You're talking to Eddie Olczyk, NBC Sports Network, was there with Doc Emmerich and Pierre Maguire last night, the Game 7, Red Wings and Blackhawks. Off topic with that game, the Rangers fired John Tortorella with 1 year left on his contract. Why was he fired?
Well, I would say it's probably a combination of things. Not getting back to the conference final like his team did last year. I think some players underachieving over the course of the season and into the playoffs. I'm sure a lot of what went on away from the rink behind the bench had a lot to do with the decision made. And, the Rangers have some offensive players there, and I don't know if they were really allowed, Dan, to play to their strengths. A very demanding system under John Tortorella. Power play was very disappointing under his reign. So it's probably a handful of reasons why Tortorella is not coaching the Rangers anymore.
Well, how much of this was his personality that cost him? It's one thing to be that way.
If that would be the case, Dan, then you probably would say, a couple years of everything that went on with the media and the responses and talking down to and all that. Maybe at some point, that probably does wear itself out. But as you know, if you win and you have success, and the Rangers had great success last year, and they got really close to getting to the Stanley Cup final. But again, I think it all falls under the umbrella of why the decision was made.
Final 30 seconds. Who is going to play for the Cup?
Well, the two best teams, Chicago and Pittsburgh, at the start, they certainly look like they have the ability to be able to get there. I'm going to just stick to picking the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont. I'm going to take a pass on what I think on that. But I'll tell you what, L.A. and Boston have the size and the heaviness and the girth to make these series long. And when I'm talking long, I'm talking about what we saw last night in Chicago between the Red Wings and the Hawks.
We appreciate you joining us on short notice, Eddie. Thank you. Safe travels.
Okay, Dan. We'll see you soon.
All right, Eddie Olczyk, NBC Sports Network. Did he say girth?
I think he said girth.
I don't know if I've ever heard girth coming into play on who's going to advance to play for a championship. All right. I'm waiting for that to happen at the Combine, When does girth play a role at the NFL Combine? And this guy has got great girth. Yes, Fritzy, speaking of girth.
That gives a whole new meaning to Stanley Cup.
I see what you did with that. You are Girth Brooks.